Hello and welcome to our reflections for Tuesday in this week after Pentecost. Behind me you'll be able to see the side passage round the side of our house. Let me move myself out the way. Note that wonderful retaining wall down the side of the path, protecting against the mud and soil coming from next door underneath the fence. It was part of the restoration and renewal of the garden that I have now completed. So let me turn around and show you the garden. This is the grandchildren's trampoline, which is now where the pond used to be. And as I track around again, you'll be able to see the various bits of slate and other parts of the project up to the back of the garden there with the tree. It's been quite a challenge really to do this work. I've never really done anything quite like it before, and it's been actually quite satisfying to see something that had, well, not been fit for purpose, not for the grandchildren to be able to play safely or well in, come to fruition. And today's reading is about restoration and renewal and being fit for purpose. It's the Old Testament prophecy from Joel chapter 2. It starts at verse 21 and extends to verse 32. It's after the exile. Curiously, Joel starts by promising restoration to the soil. Yes, the soil. And then the animals in the field, then the trees, then the vines, and then the people, the children of God, children of Israel. Then he speaks about the way in which that restoration will happen. It's through the rain that God will send and will reclaim, as it were, those years that have been lost to the locust. Now, we only heard stories about locust attacks, but they're absolutely devastating. So this restoration is a real full and powerful and proper thing for the people to have hoped for and seen fulfilled. Joel promises that restoration, but of course he's not just talking about the agriculture, he's talking about the people themselves. They will be restored. Physically, their needs will be met. There will be abundance after God sends his fruitful rain. But then there's more in this restoration, more than perhaps they were bargaining for, because God will bring a spiritual restoration as well. And we get that famous passage that Peter quotes in his sermon in Acts chapter 2 about all kinds of people receiving the Holy Spirit. There will be the sons and daughters, the old and the young, even slaves, male and female. There's some fairly surprising categories. It really is all inclusive. God's Spirit isn't partial, it isn't partisan, it's for every part of the kingdom community. And we see that fulfilled in the experience of the apostles in that Acts 2 passage that we looked at on Sunday. During these last 18 months or so, much has been stripped bare for us of what we might call normality. we're in the time now of restoration coming, of things not just going back to normal, but like my garden actually being improved, as being able to live more wisely, as being able to live more fruitfully with all the changes that God has brought to us, despite all the calamities that have happened. But what about that spiritual restoration and reforming of ourselves? It's not just about whether our church is open, but whether our hearts open. It's not just about whether congregations come back. It's whether our sense of faith in God comes back and indeed grows. So may you know restoration this day, and indeed all our days, for in the business of building God's kingdom.